I wrote the essay from a perspective of a rape survivor. I still have PTSD from my incident, but it didn't stop me from living my life. He didn't stop me from living my life. Shaking my head in disbelief. A fucking stupid legal fuck-up granted the release of a serial rapist. Are you fucking serious? A verbal agreement between the prosecutor and the defendant was not properly written in a legal manner set a rapist free. I am sick to my stomach. Does anyone have any idea how much emotional strength and tenacity it takes for survivors of rape to confront their assailants in court? Anyone? It's not just the physical action of walking into a courtroom that may or may not have windows, and the room may vary in size, that may trigger PTSD. It's the physical action of being forced to confront the assailant again in close proximity. Of course, survivors have a choice to give their testimony via short-circuit television, and some opt for this type of testimony. But some survivors of rape choose to confront their assailants in open court. Payback time. Assailants think since they are dominant over their survivors that they can do anything they want without repercussions. Verbal threats pelted at survivors slowly weakened the strongest will. And the perpetrator has a hold on their will just like that. It takes a lot of gumption for survivors of rape to set foot in the same room feet apart from the person who knowingly dominated their body without consent. Whether survivors were drug-induced by the perpetrator or couldn't physically fight back without inflicting more bodily harm upon themselves. Submission is not permission for assailants to proceed with their heinous crime. In a sworn deposition Cosby gave prior to 2018, he admitted that he drugged women to rape them. I was elated when Bill Cosby was found guilty for raping dozens of women for over several decades. These survivors lived with the shame of being raped by America's dad for years. Finally, these women got revenge from being preyed upon by Dr. William H. Cosby. Dr. Asshole. Having so many survivors in his wake, this prosecution was a slam dunk. Yes, justice was swift and right. In April 2018, jury of his peers convicted Cosby of rape of a survivor. They sentenced him to 3 to 10 years in a state prison. A couple years later, the Pennsylvania Supreme Court overturned Cosby's conviction on technicality. Prosecutors reneged on their promise not to prosecute Cosby for his crimes. The prosecutor who handled the case didn't have a written statement to this agreement. That was enough leverage for Cosby's freedom. Cosby knew that the prosecution made an enormous mistake and he waited to use his get-out-of-prison pass to secure double jeopardy. That takes a lot of cunning planning for a frail man to pull off. swinging his cane back and forth in his handcuffed hands in front of him. Two arresting officers guide Cosby down a short stair to an awaited car to escort him to prison. Cosby deliberately stumbled as he approached the car. He swiftly turned to one officer and stared at him. Now, that was a bit convenient. Anything for the cameras. Anything to postpone the inevitable. He still had his get-out-of-prison close to his vest. A little tinge birthed inside of the survivors. Something didn't feel right. It was too easy. The survivors were ecstatic to have justice, but it didn't feel sincere. Then, blam! Secured foundation of justice crumbled beneath their feet. After just serving 3 years in prison, Cosby and his legal entourage left a prison facility in a white SUV. How appropriate. News helicopters whirled over the white SUV and tracked its destination to Cosby's estate. Such familiarity. After Cosby's release from prison, he tweeted, "I have never changed my stance nor my story. I have always maintained my innocence." Cosby also said that he conversed with many other prisoners who were wrongfully convicted of a crime. And, of course, he inserted himself as one of the wrongfully convicted victims. With his head down, walking towards his estate, Cosby stretched out his arm making a V sign with his fingers. Thank God for the get out of jail pass and double jeopardy.